Now that Ben Johnson has left, he's went to the Chicago Bears. I think this has the potential to be a revolutionary hire for the Bears. And I kind of find myself biting my tongue because last year there was a lot of expectations on the Bears and they let
Bears
down a
bear.
lot. Exactly. But this kind of feels different. I think Ben Johnson, number one, it was a no-brainer to take the Bears job. Top 5 in cap space, 4 picks within the first 3 rounds, 2 second-round picks, a bunch of young talent on both sides of the ball, and Caleb Williams, I think, is going to be a special quarterback. He had 2 stretches, one more important to me, where he flashed this season. I think the 3-game stretch against the Packers, Vikings, and Lions, where they're all top-end defenses, and he played like a high-end quarterback, especially the Vikings game where he came back and he was just making ridiculous throws. That, to me, showcased the type of potential that he's capable of. And I think Ben Johnson can turn around the Bears fairly quickly. Like, I think if they make the right moves, the perfect offseason would be, I'm a sucker for just replicating the rush attack of the Lions. I would draft Ashton Genty with that first-round pick. I know they need offensive line, but I would use the cap space to sign Trey Smith and bring in Kevin Zeitler, who's a free agent. They have Darnell Wright, and they also have Braxton Jones, who Bears fans hate, but he actually graded pretty well. According to PFF, you can manage with him. And I'd draft Ashton Genty. I'd draft a game-changing running back and try to have a rushing attack that can complement Caleb Williams as best as possible. And then you trust what he's going to do with the receivers on that roster. But the Bears have the potential to legitimately like go from worst to first if they make the right moves with Ben Johnson.
I don't hate that game plan. Understanding that Ben Johnson is going to come in and obviously, I don't want to say hold Caleb Williams' hand because Caleb Williams is obviously a much better talent than needing his hand held. But you want a great play caller that you can build with a high potential level quarterback like Caleb Williams. This season, we didn't see him be his best in the pocket. I think the focus for Ben will be cleaning that up, trusting the intermediate, trusting short plays. I think Ben will draw a lot more of those up. I think that was a big issue of mine too, where there wasn't anything easy for Caleb Williams in this offense. I felt as if Caleb Williams was trying to play superhero ball too much. That'll be cleaned up with Ben Johnson. I don't hate your idea of bringing in Ashton Genty at pick 10. My fear, not a fear, but I think my goal would be to protect Caleb Williams as much as possible,
Makes sense,
especially after being sacked as much as he was this past season. But when you have the cap space that you do, when there are O linemen to be had in the free agency market, this is a game plan to go ahead and build a nice foundational core around Caleb Williams. Now, understanding what version of DJ Moore are we going to get? What version of is Keenan Allen even going to be back? I'm assuming no. I don't think Keenan Allen will make a return back. Now we're going into next season with Rome Odunze as potentially wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1, whichever type of leap he decides to take. Because there was a lot of moments where I watched Rome Odunze break free and they just could not connect. Whether Caleb Williams was overthrowing the majority of the time, especially on those deep throws, or just the two just could not link up. This is a huge hire. For one reason and one reason only, because of Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams needs an offensive mind, and there was nobody better to get than Ben Johnson. And the fear is that it is Chicago, and they're cursed, and you don't know what you can trust. We thought that this was going to be a great situation because all the talent that was on this roster, but the coaching really decided to take it and throw it in the trash. With Ben Johnson, I think it'll be completely different. I'm hoping that we see a revamped offensive line, but I really hope to see Caleb Williams progress as a pocket passer. Because if he can do that, and now we have the extracurricular of the high-level playmaking, the high-level off-platform throws that he can do that really only he can do outside of course, that guy right there. Now we really can start to have fun with the Chicago offense and the Chicago team. But I'm interested to see the skill position players that they have around him. Because I think DJ Moore's still great. I know that Rome Odunze has the potential to be great. But this offensive line and that infrastructure, that is what concerns me still. So we have to see the moves that they make. And at pick 10, it's not guaranteed that Johnson's going to be there.
I think it's funny that the biggest knock on Ben Johnson is how he left Detroit. And
Bears fans are sick.
People are acting like he
Lions
put
or
up
Bears
a stinker.
Fan? Lions fans.
Oh, I thought you said Bears. Excuse me.
Yeah, you did say Bears, but it's fine.
Lions.
I know. Yeah, Lions.
Thank you.
I will say this: like, they scored 31 points and Goff had 4 turnovers. Like, they had a 98% success rate offensively in that game. Ben Johnson did what he did. You know, if Jared Goff doesn't play like an idiot, they win that game pretty probably.
The JMO pick was bad.
Yeah, that was also bad. But also,
It's also
you're
that's where
expecting
I-
him to
Ben
just
is not
throw the
JMO.
ball away.
See, but why would you put him in that position to make that decision? His job is to catch and occasionally take a handoff.
You also know that when JMO got the ball, he wants to throw
Yeah,
it. Like, you
duh.
do have to know as OC. Like, I remember Edelman told the story on his podcast about whatever trick play that they had, and it was covered, and Edelman said, I still threw it. Luckily for him, it ended up being a touchdown.
Yeah, Lions fans are trying to paint out Ben Johnson as like this terrible guy, but listen, he laid it all out on the line for the Lions, and he came in with a great game plan. You know, he had some nice trick plays. That the Jameson one, yeah, that's the one that sticks in our minds, but the Jameson Williams touchdown was a great trick play as well, where they
it was
reversed
great.
back to him.
And the other one that they had where they handed off to, was it Gibbs, and he pitched it to
Oh
Amon
yeah, to
Ra.
Amon Ra side.
Like, bro,
Yeah, like
I mean,
you know,
we
Ben
know how
Johnson
good Ben
did his
Johnson
thing.
is.
If Jared Goff plays well, they probably win.
And I don't think
nobody's talking
Lions
about
fans should
this.
take it personal. If this was on like the fucking Patriots, for example, right? Like where he had Caleb in a top 5 pick and all of this, like he would have gone there too, right? It's just, it happened to be Chicago. It wasn't like, I need to stick it to Detroit. I'm going to go to the rival in Chicago Bears and turn around their franchise and come here and destroy Detroit. I don't think that's what it is at all. I think, like Joel mentioned, you have all the cap space, you have draft picks, you have Caleb Williams, you have multiple weapons, you have some pieces on the offensive line, you have a defense that's talented. If Ben Johnson was going to take this job, what is he waiting for? Realistically, like, what else out there is going to pop up in the next few years that's going to be a better possible position? That's the only thing going against them is the division, because the division has 3 teams that are all playoff teams that have head coaches that we respect, that 2 of the 3 have quarterbacks we respect, even though Jared Goff isn't seen the brightest right now,
But they
at
got
least
the
in
quarterback with
Detroit.
the most potential.
But yeah, and of course you still have JJ McCarthy, who's a bit of an unknown, but you got Kevin O'Connell. I have a lot of faith that JJ McCarthy is going to be a good quarterback if it's KOC.
I can understand Lions fans being tight though.
Oh, Ben Johnson.
Oh, 100%. You know, you
should be.
lost.
I'd be
and
tight.
He took the job a couple days later. I understand that 100%.
What impressed me the most, and we haven't seen much, but I feel like Ben Johnson's number one knock was, how is he as a leader?
How does he talk?
How does he talk? Because there was like kind of weird reports throughout these last couple of years. Like he's not the best interviewer, like just little bits and pieces you get from reporters. But the like 30-second clip that you got from the Chicago Bears today was like, he sounds okay to me. Like he sounds like he could lead a room with people, of men. He seemed fine to me. But I think it's gonna be a really good hire. It's hard. It's hard to see a world that fails. I think he basically just upgraded from a Honda and Jared Goff. You got a Lamborghini and Caleb Williams.
Damn.
You gotta be careful with the Lambo, because it could break down every once in a while. The parts are more expensive, but if everything is in order, you have the play action that was so dominant in Detroit. You have the trick plays that work. You have the schemed open stuff. But Caleb brings you that extra layer that Jared Goff does not, where he can win out of the pocket. He could extend plays. He could, make plays down the field with his wide receivers, saying, go here, go there. I'll just wait time. I'll kill time in the backfield. But it should work. Caleb is great. Ben Johnson is great. The weapons are really good, and they have draft picks and cap room to make it even better.
And Caleb protected the ball too. I think that's something that doesn't get talked about much.
We won't talk about the sacks.
In the regular season, he didn't turn the ball over. He had one of the lowest turnover-worthy percentage plays. So I think that is also going in his favor. Did you guys see the staff that Ben Johnson is building out? Dennis Allen is about to be the defensive coordinator. Yeah. The Lions offensive line coach, his name is Hank Fraley, is about to be their offensive line coach. He's stealing him from the Lions. And Darren Rizzi, he's trying to get him to be the special teams coach. Yeah.
Who's about to be his OC? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
It
does not matter.
He's like a 5-year-old son.
Yeah, no, for real. No, the Bears are building something good, and it's very hard to trust them. But
do you think,
I think
they make Rex's son the OC in Detroit? Have you heard that? So Rex was talking about it on his
Ryan.
Yeah, on the Pivot, talking about how his son is working with Ben Johnson, and
really?
And Rex is saying how like, pick his mind. I don't know what his role is right now. Yeah. I should probably look it up. This is just me spitballing off the top of my noggin. But Rex was talking about how you're with Ben, one of the best offensive minds in football. You need to do everything possible to
assistant
pick
wide
his brain.
Receiver coach.
Well, yeah, I mean that's not going to.
The receivers
coach
could
go to OC.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It depends on how
know.
much he's impressing. Those are the type of things that we don't really know about. Those don't get talked about. But if he does get promoted, then it probably means that he's doing a lot of good work in the building.
Yeah.
He's probably chipped in a couple plays here and there, and he's given Ben Johnson some great plays that he's used on game day. Like, I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it. It's going to be interesting to see, where the Lions go from here. But Ben Johnson is building a great staff, and I've been fooled by the great staff shit before with the Panthers and shit with Frank Reich. So, who knows? But I think even if this doesn't work out, it'll feel awful. But I think this was the right bet to make.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all coaching it's kind of a coin flip. Like it isn't, but it is. You know what I mean? Like there's obviously candidates that are more qualified than others. But at the end of the day, it's like Ben Johnson should work. But like, we don't know.
It's wicked that they lost, and a few days later, he's in Chicago's building.
He said, "This is where I want to be."
That is insane, with all due respect. You didn't wait till the offseason? Like, I know it's your
Was the
offseason, but, like, you literally...
Yeah, his season's over. He's
Yeah.
done.
They literally lost 3 days ago. And you're already in
Preparing
the
on
other
how to kick
building.
their ass next year.
That I can understand where Lions fans look at Ben Johnson and say, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a Lions fan, I know that they probably don't think about the Bears because the Bears are the Bears and they've been giving them the business these last few seasons. But regardless, now it's personal.
Ben Johnson said in that clip that this is where I wanted to be, and we all got to make sure that we make things easy on these players.
Mm-hmm.
The NFC North is a tough division. I know this division, but if we all work together, we can get playoff wins.
At the end, he said, "All right, everyone go back to work." That would have pissed me off. You just got here.
I,
Fucking ticket sales guys made 3,000 calls already.
I didn't know his personality was that.
Yeah, me
More
either.
so like this is a great situation for me. I'm going to be very, very selfish, which I don't blame him. Obviously, it's the NFL. It's the most cutthroat, one of the most cutthroat businesses in the world.
If he took the Raiders job, he'd be an idiot.
No, the Jaguars, I thought was still a happy medium of you get an elite quarterback.
Maybe.
You have, then maybe Caleb.
Absolutely. But you don't pay Caleb. That's a big plus.
I don't disagree. You still have good draft capital. There's still money to be spent. It's just
Division's light.
there's a lot in that
bulky.
favor.
I think the GM was part of it. I'm interested. I don't think we'll ever get full kind of background knowledge, but I'm interested how much say does he have in personnel. Like I'm sure Ryan Poles like you're gonna have a say in every free agent we sign, every draft pick we sign. He doesn't have final say, but like how much power does he actually have there?
Ryan Poles, he's moving me. This is 2 off seasons in a row. 3, yes, because the trade with the Panthers, getting Caleb in Rome, and now you got Ben. You've made 3 home run moves every single offseason. Can we have it
Get
lead
some
to
W's
something?
now.
The
Yeah.
trade fell into his lap. I think Ryan Poles has been average. He traded for Chase Claypool.
Can't forget that.
trade-
He traded for
Can't forget
Montez
that.
Sweat.
And that was like the 33rd pick, I think. Right? It was, like,
Montez Sweat
first
was
pick of the
pretty
round.
average this past year.
Last year, he looked like a fucking genius.
He got
Yeah.
Did Jalen Johnson get extension?
He did
And he
extend.
did.
Right?
But
Yeah, okay.
he traded for Montez Sweat and then extended him and gave him a big contract, and then he underperformed when
He
he
also
could have.
signed DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
It was like the first free agent off the board.
Didn't hate that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do.
Considering
You know,
hindsight, DeAndre Swift was great for them.
in fantasy.
No, in real life too.
He's getting replaced this year. You know
Right,
what I
as he
mean?
should.
Yeah.
As he should, but this year he was their most consistent offensive piece,
yeah.
which is sad.
Yeah,
That's why
I was
they
gonna
won
say
4
it was
games.
a rough
Exactly.
game. It was a rough year.
That's literally that is the whole reason why I can't shit on Swift. As much as I may want to, the first 3 weeks of the season for him were pretty dog shit. He figured it out, and he was one of the few that actually figured it out for a majority of the year.
Yeah, it was a rough assortment of skilled
My
position
God.
players this year for
But
sure.
the thing is, should it have been? No.
No. But I think that's play calling, Shane Waldron.
No,
Cole
pretty
Kmet,
terrible.
My stock. We're back up.
Yeah, Cole Kmet now could he could take over that Sam Laporta role and stuff like that. I think
High
Cole
key.
Kmet could play really well.
Cole
I
Kmet's
think
one of the
he's
most
talented.
underrated players in the league.
Do you guys
at
want
his
to talk
position.
about either Josh McDaniels getting hired or the Cowboys?
Josh McDaniels getting hired? Actually, not horrible.
I'm
It's
cool
not.
with
I
it.
think the Brian Schottenheimer thing, I think that's pretty ridiculous. If the Cowboys actually hire him as head coach, I think
I don't know
they're
what they're
taking
doing.
unseriousness to the next level.
Yo, bro, that skill position room wasn't terrible.
What?
The Patriots back in the day.
No, I put a screenshot up. It was you had Jacoby Myers,
Yes.
you had Kendrick Bourne,
Yes.
Hunter
Jonnu.
Henry, Jonnu. It wasn't great, but
not
they were
horrible.
like sixth in scoring. They were like top 10 EPA. Mac Jones, Pro Bowler, Mac Jones,
He had
3,800
a really good
yards,
rookie
22
season.
touchdowns. They went to the playoffs, got smoked, but went to the
Was
playoffs.
Ramondre on that team?
He was on that team. Yes.
No,
Come on
Josh
now.
McDaniels, I think, is a good OC. I just don't think he's a good head coach, but not a lot of people are. Also, the Raiders are kind of where you go to die. That's
Absolutely.
why, there is no head coach that I feel like it would be smart for them to go to the Raiders. Like Brian Flores is a candidate, right? if Brian Flores, if this is probably going to be his last head coaching stop in his life, I would not take the risk to go to the Raiders.
And now they look like fools firing Tom Telesco at a great draft.
Yeah, that was pretty dumb. That was dumb. I know that I forget the name of the special teams player, special teams coach that ended up taking Gruden's job.
Bisaccia.
Rich.
I know Gruden sucks as a person. He was turning things around.
Maybe.
Sort of, kind of was.
I don't remember. What was their record when he got fired? It was mid-season, right?
Yeah, it was.
They're pretty much done, bro.
He's a barstool for lifer, maybe.
It's crazy that that's really going to be
But
his
hey,
gig.
he makes great content. Not gonna sit here and lie to you. Like
He
makes great
sucks,
content.
but damn it, he's
He
entertaining.
makes me laugh.
They were 3-2 when he got fired. So he only had 2 years. 2020 they went 8-8.
The infrastructure
Or excuse
was
me, I'm
there.
bugging. 2018 they went 4-12, 7-9, 8-8, 3-2.
He
got
was
fired.
building something. The drafts were terrible.
Yeah, the drafts were
Mike
bad.
Mayock.
But yeah, I don't know what the Cowboys are doing. I really don't know what the Cowboys are doing because even when they were showing it on whatever pregame show, it's like, oh, the Jets interested in Brian Flores and fucking Aaron Glenn, the Bears, Ben Johnson, and it's this Cowboys list of all of these, no disrespect, kind of misfits where it's like no one else is interviewing Brian Schottenheimer, no one else is interviewing Dion, although I think that would be fun, it would be interesting. No one else is really interviewing Kellen Moore. It's a bunch of guys that are just have ties to Dallas. And I know the Jets did it with Rex, but that quickly became like, it's not happening. They're just hiring or interviewing guys that Jerry knows. That's scary.